So today we're going to talk about solving quadratics by graphing. So a quadratic function is x squared, and it's called a parabola. It looks like a U. The graph does anyways. So the solutions to a quadratic equation are the points at which the function intersects the x-axis. Okay, those are the solutions. Solutions are also referred to as zeros, roots, or x-intercepts. Okay, x-intercepts where it crosses the x-axis. These all mean the same thing. There are 2 or 3 different types of solutions. So the first one is if your parabola crosses the x-axis twice. Those points right there, those are your solutions. So you can have 2 solutions. You can have a parabola that just crosses the x-axis once. That is one solution. Or you can have a parabola that never crosses the x-axis. That is no solution. So we are going to solve these quadratics by graphing. We are going to find the solutions by graphing. So on Google Classroom, there are apps and stuff that you can use to graph, or you can just do it all in your head. So find the solution to each quadratic equation by graphing. So I have f of x is equal to x squared plus 2x minus 3. So what we're going to do is we are going to plug in all of these x values into my function here to get an output. So if we plug in -4, that's -4 squared, plus 2 times -4 minus 3. -4 squared is positive 16 minus 8 minus 3, and that will give you 5. So when x is -4, you get 5. Now you can plug in the rest of the solutions into a calculator, or you can write them out by hand to find the y values. So here I have all of the y values written out. One thing to recall is that an x-intercept is whenever y is 0. So right here, these are my x-intercepts, or roots, solutions, zeros, whatever you want to call them. So if I graph this function, so at -4, we are at positive 5. At -3, we are at 0. -2, -3. -1, -4. 0, -3. 1, 0. And 2, 5. So notice that this graph makes a U shape. These points right here, those are your solutions. Your x-intercepts are your solutions. Okay, so you can write them as coordinate points, -3, 0, and 1, 0, or we can use set notation. So we can say x is equal to the set of -3 and 1, and just write the x values. Okay, so you will see both of these. Some other things to note. This lowest point right here, that is called the vertex. This point right here where it crosses the y-axis, that's your y-intercept. Okay, so just some key points to note. Okay, so if we do another one, now we have f of x is equal to -x squared minus 10x minus 25. So I'm going to plug in these x values into my function here to get out my y value. So if I do f of -8, so I get -8 squared minus 10 times negative 8 minus 25. So negative 8 squared is 64. So plus 80 minus 25. So I get negative 64 plus 80 minus 25, and that will give you negative 9. Okay, so you can plug in those other x values to get out the y values. So there are the rest of my y values, and I've already plotted the points on the graph. So you will notice that the solution is only one solution. So right here, whenever y is 0, that is your x-intercept. So you can write your solution as a coordinate point, or you can write it as the set of negative 5, because that's your only x value. Last but not least, we have this function here. F of x is equal to negative x squared plus 8x minus 17. So we can plug in these x values into our function here. So if I plug in 1, so 1 squared is 1 times the negative is negative 1 plus 8 minus 17. You should get negative 10. So when x is 1, y is negative 10. Okay, and you can plug in the rest of these values. So here are the rest of the x values, and I've already plotted the points on the graph. So if you draw your graph, you notice that it never crosses the x-axis. Therefore, this one has no solution. You can also write it as the null set. So it kind of looks like a 0, but it has a slash through it. This is called the null set. It means there's nothing there. Not even 0 is there. Okay, so this one has no solution. And that's how you solve quadratics by graphing.